Have you ever wondered who helped create the rules governing the United States today? One quiet American thinker helped design the foundation of American democracy and government. His name was James Madison, and his ideas changed American history forever. Many people remember him as the father of the Constitution because his influence was enormous. He was not the loudest politician during America's early years. He was a thoughtful man who loved reading, studying, and carefully analyzing difficult problems. His greatest power came from ideas instead of military strength or personal wealth. But before helping create the Constitution, James Madison was simply a sickly young boy. James Madison was born on March 16, 1751, in Virginia. His birthplace stood near Port Conway beside the beautiful Rappahannock River. He grew up inside a wealthy family owning a large Virginia plantation. His father, James Madison Sr., owned land and worked as a successful planter. His mother, Eleanor Conway Madison, came from another respected Virginia family. James grew up with several brothers and sisters inside a large family household. His childhood looked comfortable because the family owned land, workers, and valuable resources. However, James himself often experienced serious health problems during his early childhood years. He suffered from illnesses that made ordinary childhood activities difficult during many different years. Unlike stronger children, James spent many hours resting and studying inside the family home. These difficult experiences helped develop his love for books and deep thinking. He could not always play outside with other children for long periods together. Instead, books became his closest companions during many quiet childhood afternoons at home. His health problems unexpectedly helped create one of America's greatest political thinkers. James read history, philosophy, religion, and political books with enormous interest every day. He wanted understanding why governments succeeded while other governments eventually failed completely. He studied ancient civilizations because history revealed important lessons about power and freedom. He asked difficult questions about human nature, justice, and political authority throughout his youth. These questions later became central to his work creating America's new government system. James believed powerful leaders needed limits because unchecked authority could threaten ordinary citizens. He also believed governments needed enough strength protecting people from violence and disorder. Finding the right balance became one of his most important political goals throughout life. Soon an excellent education would prepare James for America's revolutionary future ahead. In 1769, James Madison entered the famous College of New Jersey. Today, this institution is known as Princeton University. James studied many different subjects during his time at the college there. He learned history, philosophy, science, languages, and political ideas through dedicated academic study. His powerful intellect impressed professors because James understood complex ideas very quickly. He worked extremely hard despite continuing health problems during his university years. James completed his studies in only 2 years through extraordinary personal dedication and discipline. This achievement demonstrated his remarkable intelligence and powerful ability to concentrate for long periods. After university, James returned to Virginia carrying extensive knowledge and important political questions. The American colonies were becoming increasingly angry with British government policies during those years. Many colonists believed Britain treated them unfairly through taxes and political restrictions. James carefully watched these growing tensions because he understood history was changing rapidly. A revolution was approaching, and James Madison would soon become part of history. In 1776, the American colonies declared independence from Great Britain. The American Revolution had officially begun between Britain and America. James Madison supported the revolutionary cause despite his physical health challenges during wartime. He entered Virginia politics because America needed thoughtful leaders during this dangerous period. At only 25 years old, James became a member of Virginia's legislature. Many people considered him unusually young for such important political responsibilities during those years. However, his education and intelligence quickly earned respect from experienced political leaders. James worked carefully because every political decision could affect America's uncertain future deeply. He believed independence required creating a strong and fair government for the new nation. But America's first government would soon reveal a dangerous weakness to James Madison. After independence, the United States operated under the Articles of Confederation. This system gave the national government very limited power over individual states. The government struggled collecting taxes, paying debts, and managing national problems effectively. Different states often disagreed because each state protected its own interests first. James Madison became increasingly worried about these serious political weaknesses during those years. He believed America needed a stronger national government with carefully limited powers. However, he did not want creating another powerful king or uncontrolled government. His challenge became finding a system protecting freedom while maintaining national unity. This difficult problem would soon bring America's most important political thinkers. The future Constitution was about to begin through one historic meeting. By the late 1780s, America faced serious problems under its first government. The Articles of Confederation created a weak national government with limited powers. Congress struggled collecting money because the national government lacked strong taxation authority. The country also carried debts from the Revolutionary War and needed financial stability. Different states created separate trade rules that sometimes harmed other American states economically. Many leaders feared America could become weak, divided, and vulnerable to foreign enemies. James Madison believed the country needed a completely new political system for survival. Soon, America's most important leaders would meet inside one historic building. In 1787, delegates gathered in Independence Hall in Philadelphia. The meeting became known as the Constitutional Convention. Delegates arrived from different states carrying different political ideas and serious concerns. Some wanted a strong national government controlling many important national decisions directly. Others feared powerful government could threaten the freedoms gained during the Revolution. James Madison arrived prepared with extensive research and carefully developed political ideas. He had studied governments throughout history and understood their strengths and weaknesses deeply. Madison believed America needed a government with separate powers and strong internal limits. This system would prevent one person or group controlling everything within the country. Madison's preparation soon made him one of the convention's most important thinkers. Before the convention began, Madison studied ancient governments and political history carefully. He prepared detailed notes about different systems and the political weaknesses throughout history. He wanted creating a government protecting liberty while maintaining national strength. Madison believed political power should never remain concentrated inside one powerful institution. He supported dividing government authority among different branches with separate responsibilities and powers. This idea later became one of the Constitution's most important principles for America. The government would contain 3 separate branches with different important responsibilities. The legislative branch would create laws for the country through elected representatives. The executive branch would enforce laws through the nation's elected president. The judicial branch would interpret laws through an independent court system for justice. These branches would limit each other through a system called checks and balances. But another difficult disagreement threatened destroying the entire convention before success. Large states wanted representation based upon their much larger populations and economic power. Small states feared losing their political influence inside a powerful national government system. The disagreement became extremely serious because both sides refused accepting the other's proposal. James Madison supported a system giving larger states greater representation in Congress. Small states strongly opposed this plan because they feared permanent political weakness. The convention appeared close to complete failure during these intense political disagreements. Eventually, delegates created the Great Compromise to solve the difficult representation problem. Congress would contain 2 chambers with different systems of representation for each state. The House of Representatives would reflect population sizes through elected representatives for citizens. The Senate would give every state equal representation through 2 senators each. This compromise helped bring large and small states together inside the new government. Another difficult question involved the powerful issue of slavery and political representation. Several Southern states wanted enslaved people counted when determining congressional representation numbers. However, those states did not want enslaved people receiving political rights or freedom. Northern delegates strongly criticized this contradiction during difficult convention debates about representation. The delegates eventually created the 3/5 Compromise through painful political negotiations. This agreement counted enslaved people as 3/5 for certain representation and taxation purposes. The compromise became one of the Constitution's most controversial and painful decisions forever. It showed America's founders created a government while slavery remained deeply embedded in society. James Madison personally owned enslaved people during his lifetime as a Virginia planter. His political ideas about freedom existed alongside this painful contradiction within American history. This contradiction remains an important part of understanding Madison's complicated historical legacy today. After months of difficult arguments, the delegates finally completed their historic document. On September 17, 1787, delegates signed the United States Constitution. James Madison played an extremely important role in creating the final document. He took detailed notes during the convention because he wanted preserving every important debate. His records later became one of the most valuable sources about the convention. The Constitution created a stronger national government with carefully limited political powers. It also established separate branches protecting citizens from concentrated government authority and control. However, the document still required approval from the individual states before becoming law. Many Americans supported the Constitution while others strongly feared its powerful national government. A major national debate began about America's political future during those important years. Madison now faced his next enormous challenge: convincing Americans to accept the Constitution. He joined forces with Alexander Hamilton and John Jay. Together, they wrote essays defending the new Constitution through powerful political arguments. These essays became known as the Federalist Papers. Madison wrote many important essays explaining how the new government would protect freedom. He argued a large republic could prevent one political faction controlling everything. He also explained why separate branches could limit dangerous government power effectively. The essays helped many Americans understand the Constitution through clear political arguments. Eventually, enough states ratified the Constitution, creating America's new federal government system. James Madison had helped create one of history's most influential political documents. But his greatest political work was still waiting inside the new American government. After the Constitution became America's new governing document, James Madison continued working for the young nation. He understood many Americans still feared the national government's growing political power. Some citizens worried the Constitution did not clearly protect individual freedoms from government. They wanted written protections covering speech, religion, weapons, courts, and personal freedoms. James Madison listened carefully because he understood these concerns could threaten national unity. Although he originally believed the Constitution already limited government power sufficiently, he changed his position. Soon, Madison would help create one of America's most important political documents. In 1789, James Madison became a member of the First United States Congress. He introduced amendments protecting important individual freedoms across the entire country. Congress debated his proposals before sending several amendments to the individual states. Eventually, 10 amendments became part of the United States Constitution. These amendments became known as the Bill of Rights. The First Amendment protected freedom of speech, religion, press, assembly, and petition. The Second Amendment addressed the right to keep and bear arms. Other amendments protected citizens from unfair searches, trials, and punishments by government authorities. The Bill of Rights became one of Madison's greatest political achievements throughout history. But Madison's political journey would soon lead him toward the presidency. James Madison served as Secretary of State under President Thomas Jefferson. The two men became close political allies through shared ideas about government and liberty. They believed America needed protecting individual freedom against excessive government authority. Madison helped Jefferson during important political decisions involving foreign countries and national policy. During these years, America faced serious international problems involving Britain and France. Both European powers interfered with American trade during their long international conflict. American ships suffered attacks because powerful foreign countries ignored American neutral rights. Madison supported policies attempting protecting American interests without immediately declaring another major war. These difficult international problems continued influencing American politics for many years ahead. Eventually, James Madison became America's fourth president during a dangerous historical period. In 1809, James Madison became the fourth president of the United States. He entered office carrying enormous responsibilities during increasingly difficult international tensions. At first, Madison hoped America could avoid another war through careful diplomacy. However, relations with Britain continued becoming increasingly hostile during the following years. American sailors faced serious problems because British forces sometimes captured American sailors. Many Americans demanded stronger action against Britain through political pressure across the country. In 1812, the United States declared war against Great Britain. The conflict became known as the War of 1812. The war created enormous challenges for President Madison and the young nation. American military forces struggled during several important battles against experienced British soldiers. Then one devastating attack brought the war directly to Washington, D.C. In 1814, British forces invaded Washington during the War of 1812. They captured the city and burned several important government buildings. The White House suffered serious damage during this shocking attack against the Capitol. Madison and his government faced one of the most humiliating moments in American history. The president's wife, Dolly Madison, became famous during the crisis. She helped protect important objects from the White House before British forces arrived. Among the saved items was the famous portrait of George Washington. The dramatic event became one of the most remembered stories from Madison's presidency. Despite the terrible attack, America eventually survived the War of 1812. The war ended through the Treaty of Ghent during December 1814. Neither side achieved complete victory through the difficult and expensive conflict. However, the United States remained independent and continued developing as a nation. Madison left office in 1817 after serving 2 presidential terms. He returned to his Virginia home and continued thinking about American government. He spent his later years writing letters and discussing political ideas with friends. Madison remained deeply interested in protecting the Constitution and American political institutions. He understood future generations would continue debating the meaning of American freedom. James Madison died on June 28, 1836, at his Virginia home. He was 85 years old when he died after a remarkable life. His journey had begun with a sickly childhood and endless curiosity about government. He helped create the Constitution during America's most important political moment. He helped write the Federalist Papers defending the new national government. He helped create the Bill of Rights protecting individual American freedoms. He served as America's 4th president during the difficult War of 1812. Today, James Madison remains one of America's most important founding fathers. His ideas continue influencing debates about government power, freedom, and individual rights. The Constitution he helped create remains one of history's most influential political documents. James Madison proved that powerful ideas can change an entire nation forever.